All right, welcome to the video for Chapter 1, Lesson 4, Powers of Monomials. So, we've talked about powers a couple lessons ago, where we were taking a base and multiplying it however many times the exponent told us to. In this case, the base itself is going to be a monomial. Let's start off with writing out the definitions. So we're going to start off with what does it mean to take a power of a power? Meaning, I already have a power, like 3 squared, but then I'm going to raise it to another exponent, like cubed. So I'm going to take 3 squared and cube it. Well, when the same base is used with multiplication, you multiply the exponents. And we'll show examples of that next. But when the same base is used with multiplication, you multiply the exponents. When we look at the power of a product, we find the power of each factor, then multiply by the exponent. So that's a couple pieces, but let's take a look at some examples of this. To make it clear, I'm going to do power of a power in red, and then I'll move into doing power of a product in blue, just to differentiate. So, starting with power of a power. An example you will see eight to the fourth cubed. So I'm going to take 8 to the fourth and then cube it. Well, since this is a power of a power, our definition tells me to take the exponents and multiply them. So instead of 8 to the fourth cubed, I could simply say 8 to the 12th. All right, next example. W to the fourth to the sixth power. Power of a power tells me that it will become W to the 4 times 6, giving me W to the 24th. Now we're going to go with one slightly bigger. Sorry, I did say I was going to color code this. Alright, so the next example, I'm going to use these square brackets because I'm actually going to have 2 sets of parentheses. Those square brackets act as parentheses. I'm going to have 3 squared raised to the 3rd power, square bracket, whole thing being raised again to the 2nd power. In order to solve this, let's start from the most inside term we can. We start at that 3 squared. We see that the 3 squared is being raised to the 3rd power, so we're going to start by multiplying those together. We're looking at 3 to the 2nd times 3, so we're going to have to simplify that. When we simplify that, it becomes 3 to the 6th. And now I can deal with the square on the outside by saying, well, 6 times 2, which becomes now 3 to the 12th power. Alright, so now we're going to look at the power of a product. For the power of a product, we want to look at 4 p to the third. I'm going to raise the whole thing to the 4th power. So it's stated that in order to find the power of a product, we need to find the power of each factor and then multiply by the exponent. What that's going to look like is, I'm going to look at the first factor of the 4. The 4 is raised to the 1st power, and I need to multiply it by the exponent of 4. And then I look at the p, the second factor, it has an exponent of 3. I'm also going to multiply it by the 4, that exponent from the outside. That reduces to 4 to the 4th power, p to the 12th. So that 4 on the outside must multiply to each exponent inside of the parentheses. Looking at one more example. 6 x to the 5th y to the 11th. The whole thing, the quantity, is raised to the 4th power. So I'm going to look at that with each individual factor. The 6 has an exponent of 1 that I'm going to multiply by the 4. The x has an exponent of 5 that I'm going to multiply by the 4. And the y has an exponent of 11 that I'm going to multiply by the 4. When I simplify those exponents, I now have 6 to the 4th, x to the 20th, y to the 44. I'm going to place 2 extra practice problems. Like the previous videos, I want you to copy down the problems, pause the video, and then once you have finished the problems, come back and check for the solution. Alright, so first, I'll put square bracket, parentheses, 2 squared raised to the 4th power, square bracket, the whole quantity then raised to the 3rd power. For the second example, we're going to do 5 x squared y to the 3rd z all squared. Pause the video, copy down the problems, start the video to check the solutions.